Get that paper, told that Glock, that's how we live. Yeah, my life's a game, I pray I don't get killed. They can't believe I got to go out this shit for real. Can't accept the fact my brother gone, I wanna kill. Yeah, I can't go for that shit don't sit right. Instead of capping to the old nigga, I know what you live like. Ain't worried about all, just fuck these hoes and live life. I grown the drill, I'm smart enough, you gotta know how to kill.
With this major win under their belt, Alba Josai was excited for what's to come next. The match was cemented, and Hinata was their ace and their top scorer. Iwazumi still remained the glue that held them together, pushing the team as they have even more to prepare for. Here is when we go into the spring semester where Hinata wouldn't have to worry about grades or anything else because he was a prodigy. However, he found something very amusing that he would tell his coach, asking if it would be okay for him to start on the bench for their first couple of points in the next tournament. His coach was curious and asked why, causing Hinata to explain. "I don't think I'm ready to start just yet. There's something I really want to test out in the next tournament." When it does come time for the Spring High Miyagi Prefecture Tournament, Alba Josai gets a pass through the preliminaries because they were in the Final Four, and their first real match is against Niyama Tech, as we see the Karasuno boys in the background, as their coach would state to watch this match, as it's most likely that they'll have a rematch for Alba Josai. This is when they would see Hinata sitting on the bench. That's interesting. But halfway through the set, he looks to his own coach, and the man nods, almost afraid of his gaze. Mad Dog is then subbed out as we see Hinata stepping in with a glow in his eyes. "I'll use all of it here. As soon as the ball comes this way, I'll make sure I don't waste this chance." And when it does, he received it perfectly, as Oikawa then looks for a good pass, and he sends it right to the middle where Hinata was. A three-man wall would arise, and Hinata pulls his arm back even further, copying the power of Ushijima, as this knocks the ball through their hands and out of bounds, making the court go silent. Hinata then yells in excitement, claiming that now he's in control, making the zone bend to his own will. However, after using it in this match, he seemed a little exhausted going into the quarterfinal, so the coach lets him rest before he subbed in when he's needed. Alba Josai would then move to the semifinal, where they face Karasuno High once again. Each team looks at their opponents, knowing that this was the rematch that each of them wanted, as Kageyama focused on Hinata, who was actually starting here. The coach really didn't have to do too much planning, and he didn't really have much of a plan to stop him. But he'd make something work in order for his team to win this match. Right out the gate, Hinata is seen bouncing the ball against the floor while looking ahead. Wait, he's starting in the back? Why? This is when Ukai would look to the other coach, who smiled. This is when we see Hinata send a light serve over the net, and it's returned by Karasuno, but the ball is dug up by the liberos of Alba Josai, and then it's returned by Mad Dog. This was their defense, which was on full display here. So if Karasuno wanted to score, they needed to make it past the two liberos. However, Karasuno's coach was then shocked by the next service aces performed by Hinata again and again. Wait a minute. The coach was ready to call a timeout until Noya put his hand up, telling his team that he would get the next one. He actually would get a dig on the ball, and Karasuno returns it, but it's stopped once again. Oikawa then runs for the ball, but then we see Hinata doing the same. Oh, so you want to do it this early? Why not? They perform a reverse quick attack, with Oikawa being the one to score here, and it shocked everyone. As throughout this match, Hinata was amazing, copying the techniques of all his previous opponents, and the ones he was currently facing. There was no response for Karasuno. And even with Kageyama as a setter, he couldn't create an opportunity for his team. Asahi would score every chance that he got, but it still wouldn't be enough, as Hinata was still on the court, and returned those points quickly. And when entering the second set, things got even worse for the Fallen Crows, as Alba Josai subbed in a lot more of their bench players, creating and showing the depth to their team. With Hinata, Oikawa, Iwazumi, and Mad Dog on the court, they would actually switch Hinata to setter and focus on controlling the tempo of the game. Having a player like this was truly essential and almost a cheat code because of how good he could be at any position. There was often times where Hinata and Kageyama would battle for the ball, trying to predict each other, and Kageyama would get the better of him due to his experience playing setter, but Hinata adapts quickly, getting the better of Kageyama whenever he could. With this mental battle also going on, each coach will try to figure out a way to help their setter, and Oikawa will be the one to give pointers to Hinata, showing him different things during the match, and this would aggravate the fallen crows of Karasuno. It was almost as if they were treating this match as an also practice match, with Oikawa showing Hinata everything he needs to know. It was also like having a cheat code because of how good he could be at any position, leading to another devastating loss for Karasuno. Meaning that once again, we see Shiri Torizawa in the finale. Walking up to their opponents, Ushijima congratulates them on their last win, but this time he will be the victor. And once he is, they'll come to Shiri Torizawa. Before their vice captain can speak, Hinata walks up to him. Since you think that may be the case, why don't we make a deal? If we win, you'll come here. But if you think you can win, and you do, me and Oikawa will go there. Causing the captain and vice captain of his team to turn back to Hinata, calling him crazy, but Ushijima agrees before walking away, as Hinata tells him not to worry, as he has everything under control, and he has one more trick up his sleeve that he's finally mastered. As he better be right, they would tell him, but Hinata was actually so excited he wasn't able to get any sleep that night. All he could think of was that action, replaying it over and over in his mind, as that was the moment he fell in love with volleyball. This is where we see a flashback to Hinata, once again, in front of that TV screen, watching the tiny giant rise above all walls that were placed in front of him, the spike over his own destiny, and create a new opportunity for himself within the world of volleyball. But just what was Hinata planning? What could be the special move that he was holding so dear, so sacred, that he believed it would help him overcome a veteran volleyball player like Ushijima and his team? Well, whatever it is, we would soon see it, as morning would rise, and he walks in with his team, as they all are ready. Shiri Torizawa looks to defeat them in this match, and Abujosai tries to remain the reigning champs. No one in the gym knew how this match would go, but many teams would cheer on Abujosai High, but also some would cheer on Shiri Torizawa, as they believed that they could be the ones to dethrone Abujosai High and their true king, Oikawa. In the amazing scenery of the gymnasium, the championship was underway, as the air was charged with anticipation, as the two powerhouse teams, Abujosai High and Shiri Torizawa, prepared to clash in a match that would etch itself into volleyball history for high school teams. Abujosai High, a team boasting an arsenal of prodigies, took their positions on the court. Oikawa, the genius setter, exuded confidence as he surveyed the opposition. Iwazumi, the team's vice captain and strategist, who was planning, as he stood tall and his eyes were focused and sharp. Mad Dog, who they would actually be starting, was a wild card with thunderous power strikes, exuded raw energy in this moment, as he was excited more than anyone else. And Hinata, the unassuming copycat who could replicate any skill that he saw, brimmed with determination in this match, as on the other side of the net stood Shiri Torizawa, led by the formidable ace, Ushijima, renowned for his left-handed lethal spikes and his serves. Ushijima casted a formidable shadow onto the court, as by his side was Tendo, the middle blocker with an uncanny ability to predict his opponents, and moved with eerie precision. The first set began like a slow-burning fuse, with both teams testing each other's defenses, as Oikawa orchestrated plays with his surgical precision as a setter, setting up Mad Dog for thunderous spikes that would revive the intensity throughout the gym. As on the other end, Ushijima unleashed his signature left-handed spikes, putting Abujosai's defense to the test, as the two liberos, Hinata and the true libero of the team, had a little bit of trouble actually receiving it, as it seemed somehow Ushijima had gotten even stronger since their last time facing him. Soon, they would see that Tendo's strategic blocking would actually be working on players like Mad Dog and Iwazumi, but Hinata was still able to get through. But Abujosai kept them on their toes, forcing them to adapt on the fly. As the first set would reach its climax, the score was neck and neck, with Iwazumi's strategic prowess put on display right here. As he anticipated Shuri Torizawa's plays, adjusting his team's defense accordingly, but Ushijima's relentless attack seemed unmeasurable, pushing Abujosai to their limits. The first set then ended in a nail-biting finish, with Shuri Torizawa narrowly clinching the win. Undeterred, Abujosai regrouped for the second set as Mad Dog's spikes grew more ferocious, fueled by the desire to turn the tide. Hinata, inspired by the challenge, began to mimic Ushijima's techniques with uncanny accuracy, adding to the new dimension of Abujosai's offense. The back-and-forth rallies intensified, leaving the crowd on the edge of their seats. With the score now tied, tension had mounted as the teams had entered the decisive third set. Both sides fought tooth and nail as each point was hard-earned and fiercely contested. As the match reached its conclusion, something extraordinary would happen. In a display of sheer willpower and determination, both Mad Dog and Hinata entered the exclusive state known as the Zone. Mad Dog's spikes became unstoppable, leaving Shuri Torizawa in disarray, and Hinata channeling Ushijima's power, as well as something else he had been preparing. Jumps into the air, seeming to defy gravity, spiking the ball down in a way that couldn't be blocked or predicted. Abujosai then surged ahead, riding on the newfound strength of their extraordinary players. As in a breathtaking crescendo, Abujosai clinched victory in the final set, and the gymnasium erupted in thunderous applause as the two teams exchanged handshakes and mutual respect and admiration for one of the other. They noticed that Abujosai began to shine through sweat and exhaustion. This match was a testament to the unyielding spirit of their competition. This will put Abujosai on the radar of many professional teams and coaches who were looking for young players and prodigies. And with this devastating loss, Ushijima would have to honor his side of the deal. As a couple weeks would go by until we actually see him entering the gym for Abujosai High alongside Tendo, who actually came with his ace. The two would then walk in, with Tendo wondering why everyone's looking at him, but then they saw Hinata walk by them, and everyone continued to practice. Hinata told his team that these two joining isn't anything special because they need to prepare for nationals, as it will soon be arriving sooner than they can imagine. Challenges and even more amazing players stood in their way, so that they needed to get prepared. Each player had nodded, following in Hinata's lead, but Hinata would look to Mad Dog. "Let's go do this." The two would fist bump as we see them go up to do their own training, while Ushijima and Tendo begin to get adjusted to the team, as Oikawa introduces them to everyone and makes sure that they're welcomed, as they basically have two aces and one setter. This new Abujosai seemed to have the goal of going all the way with no regrets at all. But we'll have to see where that leads, as this is where I'll be ending part 2.